is it that the people who think they can refute atheism, those tend to be the people who know absolutely nothing about atheism or pretty much anything else? More and more often, the level of scholarship or even coherence among the religious is dropping like a stone. Maybe that explains this video. Let me know your conclusions at the end. This one's going to be a shortish video, but I just had to do it. We're looking at a channel called Atheism versus Logic, run by somebody who clearly doesn't know what either of those things happens to be. He's been called out for it repeatedly, and he just keeps doubling down on his own stupidity. Sounds fun, right? I don't know. Anyway, let's go find out.
So refuting atheism is very simple, but many people are dedicated to atheism.
Who wants to bet this guy doesn't even know what the hell atheism is? Anybody? Well, I can refute atheism. Great. What's atheism? Please define it. Well, I don't have the slightest clue, but I can refute atheism. I mean, this is insanely common. In reality, atheism cannot be refuted directly because atheism doesn't make any claims. That might surprise the religious, but that's the way it goes. It is the rejection of claims made by the religious. It is us saying, yeah, we don't believe you. Now, I suppose that you could prove that religion is true. Good luck on that. That would make most atheists stop being atheists, but you people aren't even trying to do that. However, you can't prove anything false that doesn't make any truth claims, and atheism doesn't. So anyway, let's see if I'm right.
We can do it through logical arguments. For instance, one would be just an example of one that we all agree on is that imagine you are on vacation, you come home, and there are stacks of neatly folded laundry in your dryer. A logical person would conclude that somebody folded that laundry and put it in the dryer. You don't turn on a dryer and then when it's done you look in and somehow the spinning randomly folded and stacked the laundry for you, right? We all agree that that's ridiculous to believe that.
I suppose the technology is there to do that, but let me ask you this. Who in their right mind takes laundry out of the dryer, folds it neatly, and puts it back into the dryer? No, you put it away. You don't put it back into the dryer. Are you out of your mind? Signs point to yes. Of course, as an analogy for a God argument, you're still going to have problems. I assume this is something about fine-tuning or design or something nonsensical like that, but just sticking to his example here, if you came home and you found your laundry neatly folded, you might assume that somebody folded it. But there's no reason at all to think that that somebody was a god. This is where all of those arguments fall apart. The religious just assert that it was a god that done it. Really? Back that up with evidence, please. Going back to what I was saying before, though, even if you did find a positive atheist who said there were no gods, and there aren't a lot of those out there, although I'm sure you can certainly find some, the only way to demonstrate that they're wrong is to refute their claims, and that is to produce an actual, real, demonstrable God. How about we get on with that? If the religious could do that, there wouldn't be an argument, would there? Too bad they can't get anywhere remotely close.
So as a logical argument, you would write it as, premise one, stacks of neatly folded laundry only come from an intelligent being.
Says who? Because guess what? Laundry folding machines actually do exist. Now, they're expensive and the general public generally isn't going to own them, but you can still get on Amazon and buy one if you've got a spare $10,000 lying around. It's not going to put them back into the dryer because nobody would do that if they were sane, but I guess you can still do it. So premise 1 is defeated. What else you got?
Premise 2, there are stacks of folded laundry in my dryer.
Why does he keep saying in his dryer? On top, maybe. That's like saying there are stacks of folded laundry under your bed. I mean, who does that? Is this some bizarre thing that I haven't heard of before? I mean, I had to know, and I had to go looking. And in looking, I found yet another machine that will fold your laundry for you. This one dating back to 2016. So, for anybody who's curious, here you go.
Why don't we have something like a dishwasher for folding? We have a dryer, we have a washer. Where is the dishwasher for folding? And that's what inspired me to start working on folding it. Folding laundry with a machine is a pain. You know, fabric is really, really difficult for engineers. And if you think about it, you have so many types of items in your laundry and so many fabric types, and you need to make a technology that will handle all of them together. Not only handle them, but fold them in a reasonable quality, at speed, and don't forget the part of cost and size, of course. So you have a lot of machines today that are industrialized, but they are room-sized. They cost tens of thousands of dollars, and usually they can fold only one item very well. We're doing the majority of items that you have in an average laundry load. We can do shirts, we can do towels, pants, even pillowcases. But we said these are the most laborious items, and for example, all the small items like undergarments and large items like linen, right now they're not in our focus. The large because the machine will have to be larger, and the small because I think we can do it faster by hand. We've had multiple prototypes along the way and multiple models that go to different markets. And the last one, the home version, we've been working on it for 2 years already. We're aiming to launch Foldimate, or at least the first units will ship towards the end of 2019. It's very, very challenging, and we're really trying to make that deadline. But as you know, this is a development stage, so we'll keep everyone apprised. But right now, still on target, end of 2019.
Conclusion, an intelligent being folded and stacked the laundry in my dryer, right?
All right, I know we're way off into the weeds at the moment, but he brought it up, and this video was made in 2022. He should have actually known that this was a thing. If he actually had a point to make with his example, he's way out of date. Every part of his analogy is just demonstrably wrong. And I'm not holding a lot of hope for anything else he has to say, but yeah, okay, whatever. Let's watch.
Same with a 3D printer. You could walk into a room, you could see a 3D printer printing something, and nobody would say, well, since I didn't see somebody set this up, since I didn't see it being manufactured, I didn't see somebody turn this on and send the code to it to get it going, you wouldn't say, well, since I didn't see all that, then maybe this 3D printer started printing and it came into existence without an intelligent being. That would be crazy.
You do know that 3D printers, at least the most advanced of them, they can access files online and just kind of do their own thing, right? I mean, you can look at things like the 3DQ, which entirely automates so that no intelligent party is involved. It'll just run an entire farm of printers without any input from humans at all. So he's just wrong with that too. Granted, it becomes painfully obvious what he's doing here. The religious pull this all the time. They only pick things that they know and can prove are the products of human intelligence, and then they just pretend that everything must work the same way. Of course, they never mention things like rocks or trees or stars or anything like that, because then people would just start to laugh at them. They're just playing make-believe and hoping that nobody notices. Too bad for them that we do notice these things. It's blatant dishonesty or blatant stupidity. Take your pick.
And so inside every living cell is something called biological translation. There is code inside every living cell known as mRNA, which came from the DNA, and it's translated into a polypeptide chain, which becomes a protein. And many of the molecular machines and enzymes inside living cells are proteins.
So let's catch him here and note what he's doing. He's phrasing it all in a way that's conducive to his argument, but not how it actually works in reality. There is no code. There are no machines. It's just biology doing what biology does. This is why they're not talking to us. They're not submitting their ideas to peer-reviewed scientific journals, because I think even they know that they just get laughed at. This is not how any of this actually works in reality. This guy is an idiot. Who didn't see that one coming?
There are some that are made from nucleotides, but primarily it's from amino acids, so it's a protein. So here's the logical argument for that. Code and the machinery to turn that code into more machine parts only comes from intelligence.
Then it's a good thing that there is no code and there is no machinery, huh? Just because you will sometimes find people describing it that way as an analogy, that doesn't mean that's actually what it is. And the religious do love to describe it that way because it happens to fit in with their narrative, but that's not how it actually works. He is going from piss-poor information, almost certainly gleaned from creationist nonsense, trying desperately to read things into reality that isn't actually there. It's like, ooh, I heard a word I think I understand, so now I know it all. No, you don't know crap, or, you do know crap, and that's kind of your problem. Your head is full of it. Maybe you need an actual education. Give it a try.
Every living cell has code and the machinery to turn that code into more machine parts. So what's our conclusion?
That you're an idiot. Come on, it had to be said. This is where I have to admit that this is absurdly low-hanging fruit, mostly because there isn't a lot out there that's demonstrably better. They're all this dumb. Some might not be quite this obvious, but this is pretty much what they're all doing. This is all, I really want to believe in certain things. Okay, so what? Stop being a dumbass. What you want to believe doesn't matter. You have no business believing anything when you so very clearly know absolutely nothing. I really kind of feel bad for that kid crying in the background. They're going to have to grow up with their brains being destroyed by an imbecile parent, just like this numbnuts is.
An intelligent being started the process of code and machinery to turn that code into more machine parts.
Says you. Now, back any of that up with anything remotely resembling evidence. This is the epitome of, well, I don't get it, therefore God. It really is that dumb. However, it gets worse than that because he's making a video about atheism. Supposedly, anyhow. His channel is called Atheism versus Logic when he clearly has no clue how atheism works, what logic is, or anything else. Which is probably why this video is drowning in downvotes. Everybody is laughing at this jackass. However, he's got to get from some intelligent mind to a god of some sort, and I've got no clue how he's going to do that. We already know he's just going to make a wild leap to God done it, but that's not logic at play. It's pure fifis and blind faith, and atheists don't give a crap about any of that. He'd need to come up with verifiable evidence that his God actually done it. And before he could do that, he'd actually have to prove his God was real. Anybody think he could do that? Anybody think he's even gonna try?
My daughter's calling me.
Yeah, maybe you ought to go take care of that and stop making a complete fool of yourself on the internet. One day, she's going to grow up and see just what a dipshit her father is. Thereafter, he just tries to sell his book, which, yeah, I'll give you a guess how well that's selling on Amazon. Not remotely well at all. Because I went and looked through his look inside and, yeah, the standard amount of religious ignorance of pretty much everything that we all expect, there it is. What else is new? The only two actual reviews he's received are clearly people who know him, and he has absolutely zero verified purchases at all. Somehow, that's not really a surprise either, is it? This is just more Christian ignorance on display. If you go and look at the comments on his videos, 100% of them are from atheists, all making fun of this doofus. I mean, he probably doesn't even realize just what a complete joke he is. I've pulled one or two of his other videos to go over just to make sure he wasn't just trolling people with this one. If he's as dumb there as he was here, we'll see them show up in the channel sooner or later, maybe, depending on how interesting they are. But if you want to see more, by all means, send me the links to the best, most laughable nonsense he's come up with, and I'll take a look. This was just a hoot. Sometimes we need to just step back, take a minute, and just have something to laugh at. And whether he likes it or not, Jeremy is certainly that.
Boom, dicky, 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 boom.